So you saw the title. Maybe you're in the trenches like me and you're feeling emotionally drained like I am. Maybe you're wondering, am I emotionally drained? What are the signs of it? Or maybe you're wondering, how do I resolve it? So I wanted to kind of share the 3 biggest signs for me whenever I realize I'm in burnout, and really just give the one thing that helped me out a lot. Maybe you'll relate to some of these things, and maybe the solution that works for me might help you too. Plus, I get to test out this new DJI mic and show some really cool Vegas B-roll footage as I'm walking around the city. I just want to say that if you feel this way, I can totally relate. Sometimes being emotionally drained just creeps up on you. It's not something that you kind of realize until you take a step back. Not gonna lie, I actually was watching a Psych2Go video. I'm not sure if you can see it. It says 6 signs you are emotionally drained. As I was watching the video, I'm like, damn, a lot of these signs are actually true for me right now, because recently I've just been in the trenches of YouTube, seeking out bigger clients, balancing my mental health and like fitness life and stuff like that. And I think Matt D'Avella said it.
On average, you make roughly 35,000 decisions per day.
Everything from what to eat, what YouTube video to watch, by the way, thank you, and which black shirt I want to wear, even though this shirt is kind of gray right now. On my channel, we've talked about being single at 30, feeling behind in life, not only with myself, but some of my friends too. And I think a lot of time for me, like when people ask me, how are you, Kevin? It's one of the, surprisingly, it's one of the most like intimidating questions I get. I feel all this like anxiety. I'm just like, oh man, I'm forced to confront my feelings. If you feel very similar, just know that you're not alone. So if you can't tell, this isn't my normal set. Today I just kind of want to do a heart-to-heart type of video, and I have everything on these like post-it notes. Like I spent like 20 minutes just writing everything down, like all my thoughts. So sign number 1, I'm tired of justifying my worth to others. What I realized that dealing with condescending or dismissive people really drains my energy, because I always feel like I need to seek approval from them. I feel like the last 2 years have been pretty much focused on like my mental health, my physical health. Well, that's all good. My bank account's bleeding. Real talk. So I made a goal for myself to really prioritize my finances and my business revenue and all that. So I'm growing my YouTube team, redoing some of my coaching offers, going after affiliate deals, and even going after bigger and bigger clients and contracts. Recently, I applied for some head of sales roles and some chief revenue officer roles too. And as I'm doing bigger and bolder things, I noticed that sometimes I feel the need to justify myself, especially with like condescending people or very dismissive people. If you ever been in a job interview, it's kind of like, oh, you only did this. They just discredit all the previous work that you've done just to to lowball your offer, right? And just to get you very insecure and just commit to something that you don't feel great about. Or B, maybe they're just genuinely curious about like your industry, but they just don't have the tact to ask about it. Based off my experience, I don't think people are intentionally trying to do it or anything like that. It just comes off that way. And for some reason, why am I saying like I don't know what it is? It honestly kind of brings me back to my childhood with my father, where I felt like I had to justify every single little thing that I'd done and prove my self-worth. Maybe it's an ego thing, maybe it's like a past tendency, but I just feel the need to do it. And I was talking to my friend Tom. I was just asking, like, why am I justifying to someone that I probably don't even want to work with? It was a weird conversation. I know myself, I take care of my clients, I do my best to bring the best work possible. And I have a bunch of raving fans who have really helped impact their businesses. And I was thinking about like, what's the core reason why I feel like I need to justify? And I was like, oh, not using this as an excuse, but whenever I do bigger and bolder things, I think a lot about my father, where I always had to justify like my worth, justify my work, like just to kind of get his approval. I think that's one of the harder parts. That's why I feel so emotionally drained, because it's like breaking the pattern of being yourself. It creeps up from time to time. Taking this reflection time or meditating like really helps me identify like the times I do it the most. And more interestingly enough, I'm just wondering, who else am I trying to seek approval from these days? And speaking about meditating and reflecting, I noticed I've been doing it a lot, which brings me into my next point. I noticed that I'm alone more than 95% of my time. Something that means a lot to me are like my friendships in life and the people I talk to. By the way, if you're wondering how I came up with 95%, I just made it up, but I'm alone a lot. And To be honest, I've been in the trenches, like doing all these offers, building these web pages, scaling up my like YouTube, like trying to find an editor for my YouTube like channel and stuff. It has not been easy. And I've been in the trenches. Looking at the past few weeks, other than jujitsu and the random FaceTime or Facebook video calls with the friends, I'm kind of alone. Keep in mind, I'm an extrovert too. It's not to say that I don't have friends here in Las Vegas. I've been here for about, almost 2 years since I left LA. But I think it's more accurately to say that I haven't been prioritizing them. So it's completely my fault. Most of the time, like when I'm working, it doesn't really bother me, but it's like the Saturday nights or the Friday nights when I start going on IG and start scrolling. And it is kind of true what they say about social media and mental health. A lot of times, like I personally find myself like comparing myself. Sometimes if I'm going through a really, really rough time, I find myself doing a lot more. I see people like going on vacations or eating like just out with their friends. I think like I don't really care about like the Lambos and crap that you see on like IG, but the one thing I do miss is like seeing my friends or like partying with each other and stuff. And then I'm like here in my freaking bedroom in my freaking Japanese futon, just wondering what the am I doing with my life, dog? Yeah, I just miss like grabbing lunch with friends or just hanging out with friends sometimes. And it probably doesn't help that I noticed that I get a bit of anxiety every single time I need to plan something. I hate planning. I should probably get a virtual assistant to outsource it. Like sometimes I want to catch up with some friends or do like an axe throwing night or something random like that. And then I'm just like, oh my God, who do I want to invite? Oh my God, is this person going to get really like upset that I didn't invite them? Does everybody like this and that? Do I have time on top of my business and all that sort of stuff? And it's just very, very overwhelming. I get in my head a lot. I think it's a combination of being single and like social support out here in Vegas isn't as good as back in LA. Obviously, I lived there for like 8 years and I remember going through the exact same thing when I was like 25. I have these moments where I think about like my dad or like people I don't talk to anymore. So like some of my exes, old friends, and I almost feel like suffocated. It's kind of like accepting that things have ended with that chapter. For example, on IG, I saw a photo of this girl I dated. Like I didn't feel like the emotional charge or like I missed her or anything like that. But like I saw her and I was like, I hope she's doing well. And a part of me just wanted to bring out my phone and just be like, hey, I hope everything's well. I saw your picture with XYZ. Take care. I wanted to send that, but then I was like, man, that's gonna start like unnecessary drama and stuff. And I was just like, you know what? I can wish good from afar. I wish the best for this person. So I don't think it's being alone that really bothers me these days, like when I was younger, but it's knowing that I am not like interacting with people or building relationships, something that I just really, really love. And speaking about being on IG, scrolling, being alone, it brings me to this. My sleep patterns have changed. Sometimes noticing how you feel is really good. Something that also really helps is like looking at objective things. So like, oh, Kevin is alone 95% of the time. Or maybe Kevin hasn't been getting the best sleep ever and has been having really crazy ass like sleep patterns. So over the last week or so, I've noticed my sleep times creeping up. At first, like I used to go to sleep at like 9 or 10, and then it started being 11, and then it started being 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 a.m. sometimes. And that's really, really brutal, especially if you have 6 a.m. jiu-jitsu classes, which I've been consistently missing this whole week. And I've actually been missing the 11 a.m. class too, which is kind of ridiculous at this point. When I look at like what I'm doing, I notice myself like scrolling on my phone all the time. My mind is always rushing and wanting to like watch a gaming video, or I'll watch like random jiu-jitsu videos. I think because my days are so like intense, there's a piece of me that just wants to like detach from the world and just like consume content. It's been a real big problem because when I wake up at like 5 a.m., like super early, I feel mentally sharp. I feel like I have the whole day. I notice my productivity goes way up because I have more time in the day, and it just helps me from a mental point of view. But when I get a late start in the day, I notice myself feeling almost like defeated or just like, Kevin, you didn't wake up today. Like, not like you're a failure type of thing, but like I know I could have set up my day a bit better. So something that has helped is like kind of like meditation. Sometimes I'll put on like a Joe Dispenza type of thing or binaural beats and just meditate, and I'll just fall asleep, do some breathing exercises. I think other times I just feel stuck in my situation, and that's why I want to procrastinate or like escape. I feel like some things aren't happening fast enough, whatever fast enough means. I think there's a part of me that feels very impatient. And I think because I'm doing like bigger and bigger things and trying to break these old belief patterns, I feel very tired. I feel the need to like want to sleep all the time. So as I'm sharing like the symptoms of being mentally exhausted or drained, like what has worked for me? I'm not gonna recommend like dopamine detoxing, no fap. Like there's a lot of different things out there. There's always the next productivity tool. There's always like all these things that you can do. But what's the one thing that has really helped me the most? The solution for me is honestly just f***ing off time. Like some people call it self-care and all that, but damn, self-care sounds like pretty serious and very like intimidating sometimes. I'm just like, dude, I just want to f*** off. That's something like I miss during my college days. I miss during my like high school days, just like doing whatever. No meditation, no work, just like exploring, having fun. And it's kind of cool. Like recently I found this playlist by Bobby Nsenga. He produces these like really great R&B and rap mixtapes on YouTube. They embody the vibe I'm feeling or the mood I'm feeling. Like he has like, oh, when you need to get out of bed playlist. Recently I just Yelped like cool bookshops in the area, and I found this like really cool place that has a coffee shop inside. It's called Writer's Block in downtown Vegas, and I just started exploring and just reading the books. And it reminds me of like the times when I used to be in the library as a kid. I used to like take out VHS tapes and like take home books and just read for hours. I just been like journaling and writing at that shop a lot. And one of the other things that has been really like interesting about my meditation that I noticed is that I have a tendency of like being scared of thinking bigger, or I have a lot of self-doubt. I have to agree, I'm not the most positive person in the world, dog. Like I'm working on it. I actually have this book, The Magic of Thinking Big. Been actually cheating a little bit. I've been reading the short form version of it, and it's really inspired me to think bigger, to plan bigger. I actually might do a separate video on this, but I've been reading this book called The 12-Week Year, recommended by Aaron on Demand. I bought some like calendars in the back. This is like the area of my room that you don't get to see because there's like me in the trenches. I didn't want to do like the fancy set over there. And also the third thing for f***ing off time is just like reaching out to my friends. I was telling you guys like sometimes I get anxiety like thinking about planning and all that, but I was just like, I literally hit up my friend Tina last week. I was just like, hey, what are you doing? You want to grab lunch? And then we're like, let's go to a Thai spot. So I had a really great lunch with her, and later tonight we're going to the Asian night market here in Vegas. It's like a 626 night market, but here in Vegas. It's probably not as big. And then recently I met a bunch of like Asian dads who are pharmacists, who are like dentists, and all these really, really cool people. Some of them have like their own startups and stuff like that. We all make penis and dick jokes. It's pretty fun. So I was just like chilling with the boys. And that's the main thing about off time, because it really makes you realize like, dog, don't take yourself too seriously. Like life is short, you should enjoy it from time to time. It makes all those times where I'm in the trenches like so worth it after. Well, in the past I would have been like, oh god, I'm emotionally drained, like this is horrible, like let's fix it. I've really learned to embrace it. I'm like, okay, if I'm feeling emotionally drained, like I can't go like all gas no brakes anymore. I'm like 34, I'm a little older. I gotta be more like tactical about my energy. And these days I see it as a sign of growth. I know these times aren't forever, and they're just like the seasons. If you're going through the same thing, maybe it might help just thinking about it this way. But I don't know your situation. Everyone's a little different. If you like this video, you'll probably like my video on being single and 30 that I shot 2 years ago to see how I felt back then. Anyways, I appreciate you. Love you guys. Take care. Peace.